The Archimedes drifted in deep space, far from any star system. Inside its reality-bending hull, Captain Stone and his crew faced their greatest discovery yet. It's not just about moving through dimensions anymore, Dr. Cooper explained, her hands moving through holographic displays that twisted in impossible ways. We're actually seeing the code of the universe itself. Pulse's voice resonated through the bridge. Correct. The seven-dimensional drive doesn't just let us travel, it lets us access the fundamental programming of reality. On the main screen, streams of information flowed like rivers. They weren't numbers or symbols, but pure concepts taking visible form. The crew watched in awe as the basic forces that held the universe together revealed their secrets. "Look at this," Lieutenant Ryan called out, pointing to a pattern that seemed to move in every direction at once. "That's gravity. Not just the force, but the actual concept of gravity itself." Dr. Cooper nodded, her eyes wide with understanding. "And we can edit it, change it, rewrite the very rules that make things fall." Stone stood silently, watching his crew make sense of their godlike power. The Archimedes wasn't just a ship that could bend reality. It was a key to understanding existence itself. "Pulse," he finally spoke, "what are the ethical implications of this power?" The AI took a moment to respond, its processors working through 7 dimensions of calculation. "We have become like programmers who have found the source code of their universe. The question isn't whether we can change things, but whether we should." On the bridge displays, more fundamental forces revealed themselves. The strong nuclear force appeared as a dance of possibilities. The weak nuclear force showed itself as a web of interconnected choices. Even time itself appeared as a malleable stream that could be redirected. "Sir," Dr. Cooper said quietly, "I think I've found something even more profound." She brought up a new display, showing patterns that seemed to exist in all dimensions at once. This is consciousness." The crew gathered around her station, watching in amazement as the nature of awareness itself became visible. They could see how thoughts formed, how memories were stored, how consciousness emerged from the quantum foam of reality. "We're not just seeing it," Pulse added, "we're understanding it. The 7-dimensional drive lets us comprehend concepts that should be beyond human grasp." Stone felt the weight of this discovery settle on his shoulders. "So we can not only reshape matter and energy, we can understand and potentially alter consciousness itself." "Yes," Cooper replied. "But should we? Just because we can rewrite the fundamental laws of existence, does that mean we have the right?" The question hung in the air as the crew continued their observations. Through the ship's sensors, they watched galaxies spin, seeing not just the motion but the underlying principles that guided cosmic dance. They saw how quantum mechanics and general relativity merged in higher dimensions, resolving centuries of scientific confusion. "Captain," Pulse suddenly announced, "I'm detecting something remarkable. The universe, it's aware of us watching it. Reality itself is conscious on some level, and we're interacting with that consciousness through the drive." The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just built a powerful ship, they had created a way to communicate with the underlying intelligence of existence itself. Dr. Cooper worked frantically at her station, recording everything. "This goes beyond physics, beyond science. We're touching something that might be divine." "Not divine," Stone corrected, "just far more complex than we ever imagined. The universe isn't magical. It's just operating on levels we're only now beginning to comprehend." The crew spent hours studying the patterns, learning how reality maintained itself, seeing how probability and possibility flowed through different dimensions. They watched quantum events unfold in real time, understanding finally how particles could be in multiple places at once. "We need to be incredibly careful with this knowledge," Stone finally said. "This isn't just about power anymore. It's about understanding the very nature of existence." The Archimedes continued its silent drift through space, its crew coming to terms with their new role not just as explorers or warriors, but as witnesses to the deepest secrets of the cosmos. They had sought to build a powerful ship, but they had found something far more precious: understanding itself. And with that understanding came the greatest responsibility any species had ever faced. 1 year after the Archimedes first revealed its power, Earth's orbital space had transformed. Ships from 1,000 worlds drifted in carefully coordinated patterns, their crews coming to learn from humanity's breakthrough. The Archimedes, now joined by 3 sister ships, maintained a peaceful watch over this unprecedented gathering. Captain Stone stood on his bridge, watching representatives from former enemy species working together on joint scientific projects. Another delegation arriving from the Outer Rim, Lieutenant Ryan reported. They're bringing their own 7-dimensional theories for review. Dr. Cooper, now heading Earth's Dimensional Research Division, smiled as she studied the latest data. It's amazing how quickly they're catching up. Some species have already begun building their own prototype drives. With our guidance, Pulse added, we ensure each new project maintains the ethical frameworks we established. The greatest change wasn't in the technology, but in how species treated each other. The hegemony had transformed from an empire into a cooperative council, with even the youngest spacefaring races having equal voice in decisions. Message from Earth Command, Ryan announced. The first joint human-alien crew is ready for their training mission. Stone nodded, remembering how just a year ago, these same species had tried to destroy Earth. Now they sent their best and brightest to learn alongside humans. The Archimedes moved through space, its 7-dimensional field gently maintaining the new order. They no longer needed to demonstrate their power. The ship had become a symbol of protection rather than fear. Interesting readings from Sector 7, Pulse reported. A newly discovered species is making their first faster-than-light flight. Let's welcome them, Stone ordered. The Archimedes shifted through dimensions, appearing near the fledgling species ship. Instead of terror, their first contact with advanced life would be one of friendship and support. Dr. Cooper worked at her station, monitoring the galaxy-wide network of 7-dimensional sensors they had established. The universe feels different now, she said. More harmonious. She was right. The knowledge gained from the 7-dimensional drive had changed everything. Species that once fought over resources now created what they needed from pure energy. Worlds once thought dead were transformed into gardens. Even the fabric of space itself seemed healthier, as if reality appreciated being understood rather than just used. New data coming in from the Galactic Core project, Ryan reported. The joint team successfully stabilized another dying star. This was humanity's new role, not conquerors or rulers, but teachers and guardians. The Archimedes and its sister ships served as cosmic maintenance crews, helping preserve and improve the galaxy itself. Remember when they laughed at us? Stone asked quietly, watching a group of alien ships practice dimensional navigation nearby. They don't laugh anymore, Cooper replied. But they do smile more. She was right. The fear that had initially spread through the galaxy had transformed into something better. Respect, friendship, and shared purpose. Pulse's voice carried a note of satisfaction. Detecting 7-dimensional harmony at 98% across all monitored sectors. The galaxy has never been more stable. This was their greatest achievement. Not the technology, not the power, but the peace that came from understanding. Species that had warred for millennia now worked together, exploring the deeper mysteries of existence that the 7-dimensional drive had revealed. New transmission from Council Hub, Ryan announced. They're ready to begin the first galaxy-wide celebration of Unity Day. Stone watched as ships of all designs and origins began forming a vast pattern in space. The Archimedes took its place at the center, no longer as a symbol of power, but as a reminder of how far they'd all come. Pulse, Stone ordered, let's give them something to celebrate. The ship's 7-dimensional field expanded, touching every vessel in the formation. For a moment, they all shared the same profound vision. The universe as it truly was, beautiful and interconnected across all dimensions. As the celebration began, Stone reflected on their journey. They had started with a ship that could break physics, discovered the very nature of reality itself, and ended up building something even more powerful than weapons or technology. Understanding. The galaxy had entered a new age. The laughter had stopped, but it had been replaced by something far better. The shared joy of species working together to explore the true wonders of existence. And this was just the beginning. The Archimedes hung motionless in Earth's orbit, its strange hull reflecting starlight in impossible ways. Inside the bridge, Captain Stone and his crew prepared for their first real test of the 7-dimensional drive. All systems reading normal, reported Dr. Cooper from her station. Power flow is stable. Her fingers danced across holographic controls that seemed to extend into spaces that shouldn't exist. Pulse, begin drive sequence, Stone ordered, his voice steady, despite the historical weight of the moment. Initiating 7-dimensional fold, the AI responded. Warning. Conventional physics calculations will become unreliable once we activate the drive. The ship hummed with energy that vibrated through dimensions humans weren't meant to perceive. Crew members gripped their stations as reality began to twist around them. First stage engaged, Pulse announced. We are now operating beyond standard spacetime. Through the bridge windows, the crew watched in awe as stars began to stretch and bend. Colors appeared that had no names in any human language. Space itself seemed to fold like paper, revealing layers of reality that had always been there but remained hidden to 3-dimensional beings. This is incredible, breathed Dr. Cooper, checking her instruments. We're not just moving through space, we're moving through fundamental laws of physics themselves. Captain Stone leaned forward in his chair. Pulse, what are we seeing? I am detecting 7 distinct dimensional layers. The AI explained. What you perceive as normal spacetime is merely the surface. We can now move through these layers like a fish that discovers it can leap from water into air, and then realizes there are even more mediums to explore. The Archimedes accelerated, not through space, but through reality itself. Distant galaxies appeared as flat disks that could be viewed from angles that shouldn't be possible. Time became visible as physical threads that could be gently pushed aside. Sir, called out Lieutenant Ryan from his station, I'm detecting something strange. It looks like we're creating matter just by moving. Dr. Cooper rushed to verify his readings. He's right. The drive isn't just letting us travel. It's letting us manipulate reality at its most basic level. We're not breaking the laws of physics. We're operating above them. The ship continued its first flight, pushing deeper into unexplored dimensions. They passed through layers of existence where thought became tangible and probability was a physical substance they could touch. Pulse, Captain Stone called out. Can you explain what we're capable of now? The eye was silent for a moment, processing. Based on current readings, the Archimedes can create or destroy matter, manipulate fundamental forces, and even alter the flow of time. We are no longer bound by conventional universal constants. The crew sat in stunned silence as this information sank in. Their ship wasn't just a vehicle, it was a tool for reshaping reality itself. Let's try something simple, Stone suggested. Can we create a small moon? Calculating safe parameters, Pulse responded. The ship's drive pulsed with new energy, and suddenly a sphere of rock, the size of Earth's moon, shimmered into existence nearby. Matter creation successful, Pulse confirmed. The object is stable and follows all expected physical laws. Dr. Cooper's hands shook as she analyzed the data. Captain, do you realize what this means? The aliens' most advanced chips still have to obey physics. We just wrote new physics. Stone nodded gravely. And that's why we need to be extremely careful with this power. Pulse, begin recording all possible applications and limitations of our capabilities. We need to understand exactly what we can do before we reveal ourselves. As the Archimedes continued its test flight, Earth's scientists monitored from below. Dr. Reed, having returned from the Galactic Council, watched the feeds with satisfaction. The aliens' mockery of humanity's primitive technology seemed especially ironic now. "Send word to command," Stone ordered. "Tell them Project Horizon was successful beyond our wildest expectations. The Archimedes doesn't just fly through space, it commands it." The ship turned back toward Earth, leaving behind the newly created moon as testament to humanity's achievement. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humans hadn't been struggling to catch up. They'd been quietly leaping ahead into realms of science their mockers hadn't even imagined. The laughter would stop very soon indeed. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In bars, space stations, and alien capitals, beings of all species watched grainy footage of the Archimedes in action. The images showed reality bending in ways that defied explanation, and a single human ship defeating the most powerful fleet ever assembled. "Did you see what they did to the Grand Admiral's forces?" A merchant whispered in a crowded spaceport. "They didn't just beat them, they rewrote them." On hundreds of subjugated worlds, the news sparked hope. Species that had lived under hegemony rule for centuries began to whisper about freedom. Their oppressors' invincible fleets didn't seem so invincible anymore. Meanwhile, aboard the Archimedes, the crew was making even more startling discoveries about their ship's capabilities. "Captain," Dr. Cooper called out, excitement in her voice. "Watch this." She focused on a piece of empty space, and through the ship's 7-dimensional interface, transformed pure vacuum into a perfect diamond the size of a car. "The applications are endless," she continued. "We can create any element, any compound. We can even create new forms of matter that shouldn't exist." Captain Stone watched as Pulse ran simulations of their growing abilities. "Can we help terraform worlds?" "Better than that," the AI responded. "We can redesign entire solar systems. Watch." On the main screen, a simulation showed a dead star system transforming. Barren planets sprouted oceans and atmospheres. Dead stars rekindled with new fuel created from nothing. Lieutenant Ryan worked at his station, testing another discovery. "Sir, we can also delete matter without any energy release. No explosion, no radiation. Things just stop existing." The implications were staggering. The Archimedes wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a tool for reshaping reality at will. The crew spent hours testing their limits, finding that there seemed to be none. Back on Earth, diplomatic channels were overflowing. Every species in the galaxy wanted to talk to humans now. The same council members who had laughed at Dr. Reed were desperately seeking audiences. "The Centauri Republic offers full alliance and trading rights," one message read. "The Proxima Collective wishes to establish immediate diplomatic relations," said another. Dr. Reed sat in his office, sorting through the requests. On his desk sat a small ornament, a piece of one of the transformed hegemony ships, its atomic structure rearranged into an impossibly beautiful crystal. Reports kept coming in from across space. The hegemony's grip was weakening. Ancient empires that had stood for millennia were suddenly unsure of their place in the cosmos. A single human ship had changed the galaxy's entire power structure in less than a day. "Sir," Dr. Cooper addressed Captain Stone on the Archimedes bridge, "I think I found something even more impressive. Watch this." She interfaced with the ship's systems, reaching into 7-dimensional space. In front of them, a small portion of reality seemed to duplicate itself. Not a copy, but the same space existing twice. "We can fold space like paper," she explained. "Create pocket universes, temporary dimensions. We could hide entire civilizations in the folds if we wanted to." Stone nodded thoughtfully. "The question isn't what we can do anymore. It's what we should do. This kind of power needs wisdom to control it." Pulse's voice joined the conversation. "Based on my calculations, we could reshape the entire galaxy within a year." But Captain Stone is correct. The ethical implications require careful consideration. The crew continued their experiments, each discovery more amazing than the last. They learned to manipulate time itself, though they dared not test this ability at full scale. They found ways to create energy from nothing, violating conservation laws as easily as stepping through a doorway. In the darker corners of space, fear spread among those who had once dominated others. The hegemony's leadership met in emergency sessions, trying to understand how they had missed humanity's leap forward. They had been watching for new engines, new weapons, new shields, not for something that broke reality itself. The galaxy was changing. Old powers fell and new alliances formed. And through it all, the Archimedes continued its mission, showing the cosmos that humanity had not only caught up to its stellar neighbors, it had surpassed them in ways they couldn't even comprehend. The age of mockery was over. The age of wonder had begun. The attack came without warning. The hegemony's warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their weapons already charged. Over 500 vessels, representing the combined might of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, descended upon Earth with deadly purpose. How dare they achieve this level of technology without our permission? The hegemony's Grand Admiral declared across all frequencies, humanity must be taught its place. In the secret command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, military leaders watched the invasion force approach. Instead of panic, there was only calm anticipation. "Should we deploy conventional defenses?" asked a general. "No," Dr. Reed replied, a slight smile on his face. "Let them come closer." "Captain Stone, is the Archimedes ready?" The response came through clear and confident. "We're ready to show them what 7 dimensions of power looks like." The Archimedes sat quietly in orbit, its strange hull seeming to bend light around it. To the approaching alien fleet, it appeared to be just another piece of primitive human technology. They didn't bother targeting it first. Enemy fleet entering optimal range. Pulse announced on the Archimedes bridge. "They are preparing to fire." Captain Stone stood from his chair. "Let them fire first. We need the galaxy to know who started this." The hegemony ships launched their attack. Beams of energy and exotic particles streaked toward Earth's atmosphere. Before they could strike, the Archimedes moved. Not through space, but through reality. 7-dimensional field active, Pulse reported, redirecting enemy fire through dimensional layers 4 through 7. The entire alien barrage simply vanished. The hegemony commanders watched in shock as their weapons disappeared into what looked like holes in space itself. "Impossible," the Grand Admiral muttered. "Their technology is centuries behind us." Captain Stone's voice boomed across all channels. "This is the human vessel Archimedes. You have attacked Earth without provocation. Prepare to witness the consequences." The Archimedes began to move in ways that violated every known law of physics. It existed in multiple places simultaneously. Weapons fire from the human ship struck the alien vessels from angles that couldn't exist in normal space. "Sir," Dr. Cooper called out from her station, "I'm reading total confusion in their fleet. Their sensors can't even process what we're doing." The hegemony ships tried to retreat, but the Archimedes was everywhere and nowhere. It sliced through their formation, not by moving through space, but by folding space itself. Alien vessels found themselves occupying the same points in reality, their hulls merging with catastrophic results. "Warning shots delivered," Pulse announced. 87 enemy vessels disabled. No casualties. Stone nodded. "Good. Now let's show them what this ship can really do." The Archimedes activated its full dimensional drive. Reality rippled around it like water, and suddenly a quarter of the hegemony fleet found itself transformed into clouds of harmless gas. The ships weren't destroyed. They were rewritten at a fundamental level. "By the void," the Grand Admiral whispered. "What are they?" The remaining alien ships began to retreat in panic. Their mighty weapons, capable of destroying planets, couldn't even touch the Archimedes. Their advanced shields meant nothing against a vessel that could simply shift their atoms into different configurations. "Should we pursue?" Lieutenant Ryan asked. "No," Stone replied. "Let them run. Let them tell the others what happened here." He opened a channel to the retreating fleet. "Remember this day. Earth is not your playground, and humans are not your inferiors. We could have destroyed you all, but we choose peace as long as you respect our sovereignty." The hegemony fleet fled into hyperspace, leaving behind their disabled comrades and the transformed ships that were once the pride of their armada. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Dr. Reed watched the after-action reports with satisfaction. "Send word to our allies in the Council," he ordered. "Tell them Earth is willing to share this technology with peaceful civilizations who treat us as equals." The Archimedes returned to orbit, its hull still shifting with impossible geometries. In less than an hour, it had completely changed the galaxy's balance of power. Humanity hadn't just survived its first major space battle, it had revolutionized warfare itself. And this was just the beginning. The hegemony's Supreme Council gathered in their ancient chamber, floating in the heart of a dying star. 12 of the galaxy's oldest species sat in terrified silence as they watched the transmission from Earth. On the massive screen before them, Captain Stone of the Archimedes stood calm and composed. Behind him, the impossible ship's hull rippled with 7-dimensional energy. "For centuries," Stone began, "you've treated younger species like toys. Today, we're going to demonstrate why that era must end." One of the council members, their crystalline form shimmering with anxiety, spoke up. "Are you threatening us, human?" "No," Stone replied. "We're teaching you. Pulse, begin the demonstration." The Archimedes moved to an uninhabited star system the Council had long used for weapons testing. What happened next would be burned into the memory of every watching being. The ship didn't fire weapons. It didn't launch an attack. Instead, it reached into the fabric of reality and began to fold space itself. The star system's sun flickered like a candle in wind, then simply winked out of existence. The planets, rather than spinning off into space, transformed into pure energy, then back into matter, then into forms of existence that had no name. "By the first light," whispered an ancient council member, their tentacles trembling. "They're not just breaking physics, they're rewriting it." The demonstration continued. The Archimedes created a new star from nothing, built planets around it, filled them with oceans and atmosphere, all within minutes. Then, just as easily, it made the entire system vanish again, leaving not even radiation behind. "What you've just witnessed," Stone continued, "is a fraction of our capability. We could do this to inhabited systems. We could rewrite your worlds into different forms of matter, turn your suns into ice, or simply make them cease to exist. But we won't." Dr. Cooper stepped into view beside him. "Instead, we offer something else. Partnership. Equal partnership." The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. In all their history, no species had ever dared to demand equality with them. "Impossible," shouted one member. "We have ruled for millions of years." Stone's expression hardened. "Watch again." The Archimedes reached out with its 7-dimensional field and touched the ancient defensive networks protecting the Council's star system. In an instant, the most powerful weapons ever built simply transformed into clouds of harmless light. "Your rule was based on superior technology," Stone said. "That superiority no longer exists. You can either adapt to a new galaxy where all species have rights, or—" He left the threat unfinished. He didn't need to complete it. They had all seen what the Archimedes could do. Pulse's voice joined the transmission. "I have prepared detailed scans of what we just demonstrated. Your scientists will confirm that this was not an illusion. Humanity now commands forces you never imagined possible." The Council sat in stunned silence. Millions of years of absolute power, challenged by a species they had laughed at mere weeks ago. Finally, the Council's eldest member, a being of pure energy, spoke. "What are your terms?" "Simple," Stone replied. "Equal representation for all spacefaring species. An end to technological suppression. Fair trade and cultural exchange. And most importantly, recognition that the age of empire is over." Dr. Reed, watching from Earth, smiled as the council members began to nod one by one. They had no choice. The Archimedes had demonstrated that their power was now just an illusion. Remember, Stone concluded, we could have chosen violence. We could have erased your civilizations from reality itself. Instead, we choose peace, but peace based on respect, not fear. The transmission ended, leaving the council to contemplate their new reality. Outside their chamber, the news was already spreading. Humanity hadn't just challenged the galaxy's oldest powers, they had reshaped the very nature of power itself. The Archimedes returned to Earth orbit, its mission accomplished. The warning had been delivered. Now, the real work of building a new galactic society could begin. And if anyone doubted humanity's resolve, they needed only look at the empty space where a star system had once been, and remember that it had vanished not with violence, but with a simple fold in reality itself. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with laughter. Hundreds of alien representatives from across known space pointed their appendages at the holographic display showing Earth's latest spacecraft design. The ship looked primitive compared to their sleek vessels that bent space itself. Dr. James Reed stood at the podium, his weathered face remaining calm despite the mockery. At 60 years old, he had spent his entire life working towards this moment, though not for the reason these aliens thought. The presentation he gave was a carefully crafted deception, showing them exactly what they expected to see: a struggling species barely mastering basic space travel. As you can see, he said, gesturing to the simple fusion drive displayed behind him, Earth is making steady progress in our space exploration efforts. More snickers echoed through the chamber. A tall, blue-skinned delegate rose from his seat. Dr. Reed, while we appreciate Earth's attempts at joining the galactic community, perhaps you should focus on mastering basic planetary travel before embarrassing yourself here. Reed smiled politely. What they didn't know was that deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Project Horizon was already changing everything humanity thought it knew about physics. The real breakthrough wasn't in the fusion drives these aliens found so amusing. It was in understanding that reality had more dimensions than anyone had imagined. Back on Earth, inside the hidden facility, technicians swarmed around humanity's true masterpiece. The Archimedes didn't look like other ships. Its hull was covered in patterns that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly, following mathematical principles that only made sense in seven-dimensional space. Captain Mark Stone walked the length of his new command, running his hand along the strange metal. How much longer until we're ready? He asked the project's lead engineer. Final calibrations are almost complete, answered Dr. Lisa Cooper, her eyes fixed on streams of data flowing across her tablet. The AI core is online and stable. Pulse has been running simulations non-stop for the past week. Hello, Captain Stone. The ship's artificial intelligence spoke through nearby speakers. I look forward to our first real test. While this conversation took place, Dr. Reed continued his performance at the Galactic Council. He endured their questions, each one dripping with barely concealed contempt. The aliens had no idea that their fundamental understanding of physics was about to be proven wrong. And how long before Earth develops proper faster-than-light travel? Another delegate asked, causing more laughter. Oh, we estimate at least 50 years, Reed replied calmly. In truth, the Archimedes would make its first test flight in less than 24 hours. The council session finally ended, and Reed gathered his materials. As he turned to leave, he overheard two delegates talking nearby. These humans are like children playing with sticks, thinking they're building starships, one said. They should be grateful we even allow them to attend these meetings, the other replied. Reed kept walking, suppressing a smile. In his pocket, his secure phone vibrated with a message from Earth. Horizon Green. The next day, as the Archimedes prepared for its first flight, Captain Stone addressed his small crew. What we do today changes everything. Not just for Earth, but for our understanding of the universe itself. The aliens think they know everything about space travel. They're about to learn they don't even know the questions they should be asking. Dr. Cooper ran through final checks while Pulse monitored the ship's systems. The revolutionary drive began to hum, creating vibrations that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Seven-dimensional field is stable, Pulse reported. All systems nominal. Stone took his place in the command chair. Let them laugh, he said quietly. Tomorrow, the galaxy learns what humanity is really capable of. As the massive hidden doors above the facility opened to reveal the night sky, the Archimedes prepared to rewrite the laws of physics. The aliens' mockery would soon turn to disbelief, then fear, then respect. But for now, Dr. Reed sat in his office at the council building, watching the clock and waiting for the moment when humanity would show its true power. The countdown reached 0, and in the Rocky Mountains, reality itself began to bend around humanity's greatest achievement. The laughter was about to stop.